Greetings children, this is for CBSE 11th class students. We are going to study the 5th lesson from your textbook Hornbill, that is the ailing planet, the role of green movement. In this lesson, the writer Palkivali says about the importance of keeping our environment and the change in perception for the last 50 years. It is actually an article appeared in a newspaper, but it has relevance even today. The article published in 1994 in an Indian newspaper, and it focuses on the change in perception of our environment and ecology. Now let us learn more about the lesson from the article. Let us go. Lesson number 5, The Ailing Planet, the Green Movement's Role, written by Nani Palkhiwala. The following extract was written by Nani Palkhiwala and published in the Indian Express on 24 November 1994. The issues that he raised regarding the declining health of the earth continue to have relevance. So this lesson is on declining health of the earth, and it is a newspaper article published in 1994, but it has relevance even today. Come to the article. One cannot recall any moment in the world history which has gripped the imagination of the entire human race so completely and so rapidly as the green movement. So, from the beginning itself, the article attracts our attention on the green movement. The writer says that in the world history, no other movement that has gripped the imagination of the entire human race completely and so quickly as this movement, the green movement, which started nearly 24 years ago, which means in 1972, because the article is published in 1994. The world's first nationwide Green Party was founded in New Zealand, the first Green Party in the world that has founded in New Zealand. Since then, the movement has not looked back. So after the foundation of this Green Party in New Zealand in 1972, the movement has not looked back, which means it has never failed to attract the attention of the entire human race. Look at the next one. We have shifted, one hopes, irrevocably from the mechanistic view to a holistic and ecological view of the world. So this movement, the green movement, started around 50 years back. That was a beginning for the shift of our view from a mechanistic view to a holistic and ecological view, a view that persists throughout our life for a long period, that gives importance to the entire beings on earth. Holistic means complete, and it also contains an ecological view for the balance of the ecology of the earth. Irrevocably here means, look at the different. Irrevocably means irreversibly, permanently, forever, or irretrievably. The entire human race has shifted its perception from a mechanistic view to a holistic and ecological view, giving importance to all and everything on the earth, and also gives importance to the ecological balance of the earth, that is a holistic and ecological view. That was the shift happened after the green movement that started in 1972 in New Zealand. It is a shift in human perceptions. Perceptions here means viewpoints in humans' outlook that has totally changed as revolutionary as the introduced by Copernicus. There was a revolutionary change like what Copernicus did, who taught mankind in the 16th century that the earth and other planets revolved around the sun. Copernicus in the 16th century brought a massive change in the human conception about. Till then, the human race considered that Earth was the center of the universe. But Copernicus changed the thought. He brought a revolutionary change in human perception. Like that big change, big revolution that Copernicus had brought. The same way, this green movement brought a total change of perception of the human beings. For the first time in human history, he further says, for the first time in human history, there is a growing worldwide consciousness that the earth itself is a living organism. So there is a growing worldwide consciousness, that is an awareness, an inner awareness in each and every human being that the earth itself is a living organism. The earth is something like a living organism, and he further says that an enormous being. Earth is an enormous being of which we are parts. So earth is a living organism. What type of organism? It's an enormous being, a huge being, a huge animal like or a huge living thing, which we are all different parts of it. That recognition, that knowledge comes in each and every human being after the green movement. Look at the next one. It has its own metabolic needs and vital processes which need to be respected and preserved. So the earth is like a huge being. It has its own needs. What type of needs? Metabolic needs. Like humans have a metabolic system. He takes food and a balanced diet. It helps to work his metabolism properly. In the same manner, the earth, when we consider it as a huge living being, it should also have such metabolisms and certain vital processes which need to be respected and preserved. So all those things should be respected and preserved. It is the duty of humans, because human is the only rational animal on the earth. It is his duty to respect and preserve these metabolical needs and allow the earth to continue its vital processes. This is what Palkivall demands from the readers. Come to the next paragraph. The Earth's vital signs reveal a patient in declining health. The Earth's vital signs, so many symptoms that we are getting every day, that our Earth is a patient and the condition of the patient is in a declining health. Its health is downing, going to decline every day. We have begun to realize our ethical obligations to the good stewards of the planet and the responsible trustees of the legacy to future generations. Then the writer further says that we have begun to realize our ethical obligations. We, as the rational animals on earth, we definitely have certain ethical obligations, certain moral duties to be good stewards. That moral duty is we must be good stewards. Stewards means servants. We must be good servants of the planet and responsible trustees of the legacy to future generation. So this whole earth is a legacy for us and it has been given to us because we are the responsible trustees of this legacy, and this we have to give it to the future generation, the coming generations. That is the perceptual change happened with the humans after the green movement. Come to the next paragraph. The concept of sustainable development was popularized in 1987 by the World Commission on Environment and Development. So, sustainable development that started in 1987 by the World Commission on Environment and Development. In its report, it defined the idea as, what idea? The sustainable development as development that meets the needs of the present. Okay, we have to meet the needs of the present. Development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. It doesn't mean that we have to consume all the available resources of the earth for only our generation. We have to keep it as it is for the coming generations, because human generation is not going to stop at one point. It will come and go. It will come and go. At the same time, the resources of the earth should be there, remained as us early. Don't consume more than what we need and restore that much that we consume. That is the idea says here through sustainable development. That is, without stripping the natural world of resources future generations would need. Which means that don't stripping the natural world of resources. Stripping means to take away, to strip off all the natural world of resources without keeping anything for the future generations that they need. This is what sustainable development. So simply we can say that sustainable development The idea put forward by the World Commission on Environment and Development means that we have to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their needs, which means that we are not entitled to consume all the natural resources of the world for our generation only. We have to keep as it is for the coming generations. Whatever amount that we consume, we have to recreate there in nature. That is a sustainable development. In the zoo at Lusaka in Zambia, there is a cage where the notice reads Zambia's capital Lusaka. There is a zoo there, and in the zoo there is a huge cage where a notice board is kept. The notice reads the world's most dangerous animal. Inside the cage there is no animal but a mirror. You can see only a mirror inside the cage, and the board reads the world's most dangerous animal. Where you see yourself, when you look into the cage, you can see your own image. What does it mean? No doubt, human. Human is the most dangerous animal in the world, and he has consumed the forest, the natural resources, and making earth as deserts. It is his own responsibility. No other animal in the earth can create that much damage to earth. Thanks to the efforts of a number of agencies in different countries, a new awareness has now dawned upon the most dangerous animal in the world. So because of the efforts of number of agencies from different countries, a new awareness has now dawned upon that taken birth of upon the most dangerous animal in the world. He has realized the wisdom of shifting from a system based on domination to one based on partnership. This shifting that has happened from domination to partnership, that is the positive change that happened with the humans. He has realized the wisdom of shifting from a system based on domination to one based on partnership. Scientists have catalogued about 1.4 million living species with which mankind shares the earth. So in this earth we can see 1.4 million living species, and mankind is only one among them. So around 14 lakh living species on earth, and out of that 14 lakh living species, human is simply one. And estimates vary widely as regards the still uncatalogued living species. Then still it is regarded that, it seemed that still uncatalogued living species, so many uncatalogued, unnamed, unfound out species are there. Biologists reckon that about 3 to 100 million other living species still languish. Languish means forced to stay. forced to stay somewhere unnamed in ignominious darkness, which means humiliating darkness. One of the early international commissions which dealt inter alia with the question of ecology and environment was the Brandt Commission, which had distinguished India as one of its members, Mr. L.K. Jha. The first Brandt report raised the question, are we to leave our successes scorched planet of advancing deserts, impoverished landscapes and ailing environment? So one of the early international commissions which dealt inter alia. Inter alia means among other things. Among other things, with the question of ecology and environment was the Brandt Commission, which had distinguished Indian as one of its members, Mr. L.K. Jha. Under this commission, there is a distinguished Indian representative who was Mr. L.K. Jha. The first Brandt report raised the question, are we to leave our successes? Successes here means the coming generation. The coming generation. Are we to leave our coming generation a scorched planet? Scorched here means burned, barren. A barren planet of advancing deserts, impoverished. Look at the different meanings of impoverished. Landscapes and ailing environment. A very poor and destitute landscape and ailing environment. Is this we want to hand over to our coming generations? The Brandt Commission raised this question. Are we going to hand over to our coming generations such a scorched, such a burned, such an ailing environment earth to our coming generation? Come to the next. Mr. Lester R. Brown, in his thoughtful book, The Global Economic Prospects, The Global Economic Prospects, written by Lester R. Brown, he points out that the Earth's principal biological system, he talks about the biological system of the Earth. There are 4 in number: fisheries, forest, grasslands and croplands, and they form the foundation of the global economic system. In addition to supplying our food, these 4 systems provide virtually all the raw materials for industry except minerals and petroleum derived synthetics. Except this minerals and petroleums, all other industry and our food sources are depending on these 4 systems of. So this 4 system supply food for the entire human community, and beyond that these 4 systems provide virtually means practically all the raw materials for industry except minerals and petroleum derived synthetics. In large areas of the world, human claims on these systems are reaching an unsustainable level. So in large areas of the world, human claims on these systems are reaching an unsustainable level. Unsustainable level means that cannot be restored there in a diminishing stage. No more resources are left there. Unsustainable level, a point where their productivity is being impaired, which means that their productivity is practically being impaired. Impaired means damaged. So how can we keep the sustainable development if we consume the natural resources like this? Many parts of the world, it comes that productivity is being impaired. No production is going to happen in these four major economic systems of the world, biological systems of the world. When this happens, fisheries collapse, forests disappear, grasslands are converted into barren wasteland. So these changes will occur when reproduction does not occur in these four biological spheres of the earth. What are the changes? Fisheries will collapse, forests begin to disappear, and the grasslands are turned into wastelands or deserts, and the croplands deteriorate. The quality, the production will come down, started deteriorating. In a protein conscious and protein hungry world, overfishing is common every day. So we are so much conscious of protein getting. For that, what we do overfishing. That happens all over the world. Overfishing is common every day. In poor countries, local forests are being decimated in order to procure firewood for cooking. Another problem the world facing is that especially in poor countries, underdeveloped and developing countries, local forests are being decimated. Decimated means destroyed. Destroyed in order to procure firewood, in order to secure firewood for cooking. In some places, firewood has become so expensive that what goes under the pot now costs more than what goes inside it. Such a condition, such a situation arises in many parts of the world. What we put in the pot, that goes lesser amount than what we put under that pot, which means that we have to spend a lot of money for the fuel than the food that we cook in the vessel. Look at the picture. Since the tropical forest is in the words of Dr. Myers, the powerhouse of evolution. Who says these words? Dr. Myers. And he says these words about what? The tropical forest. The forest in the tropical region. That is the tropical forest where too much of rain will get. They are the powerhouse of evolution. Several species of life face extinction as a result of its destruction. And from the above said 1.4 million species, because of the destruction of this tropical forest, they are in the threat of extinction. Extinction fade away from the face of the earth, face of the universe. They are going to extinct forever as the result of destruction of these tropical forest. Come to the next paragraph. It has been well said that forest precede mankind. So before mankind come to live on the earth, there was forest. Forest precede mankind. Before mankind, there was forest. Then deserts follow. Which means that as human come and started living on earth, deserts coming to exist. The world's ancient patrimony. Patrimony here means legacy. You can also see other synonyms. The patrimony of tropical forest is now eroding at the rate of 40 to 50 million acres a year. So the world's ancient patrimony of tropical forest, now it is in the verge of erosion, diminishing or destruction at the rate of 40 to 50 million acres a year. And the growing use of dung for burning deprives the soil of an important natural fertilizers. Cow dung. In many parts of the world, especially in India, they dried cow dung and burn it for different purposes, even for cooking. And that also causes what? It deprives. Deprives means it prevents. It prevents the soil, the earth, of an important natural fertilizer. So cow dung is an important natural fertilizer. The soil is not getting that natural fertilizer because in many parts of India they are dried and used for burning or cooking purposes. The World Bank estimates that a five-fold increase in the rate of forest planting is needed to cope with the expected fuel food demand in the year 2000. So the World Bank estimates that five-fold increase. So what efforts we are taking now for afforestation, we have to increase it as five-fold. For what? To cope with, to maintain with the expected fuel demand in the year 2000. So that much increase in afforestation or planting trees should be taken place on the earth. Otherwise, we can't meet the need of fuel wood by the year 2000. Why it is 2000? Because it is written in 1994. James Peth, the president of the World Resources Institute, said the other day, we are saying that we are losing the forest at an acre a second. This is the rate of depleting our forest wealth. 1 acre in a second. It is said by the president of World Resources Institute, Mr. James Peth. But it is much closer to an acre and a half a second. But in reality, it is not 1 acre, 1.5 acre of that forest is diminishing at 1 second. Come to the next. Article 48A of the Constitution of India provides that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and safeguard of forest and wildlife of the country. So our Constitution, Article 48A, that provides that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. It is states the country's duty to protect and improve the environment and safeguard the forest wealth and the wildlife in it. It is a constitutional right for the forest and the animals there have to be protected. But what causes endless anguish means the pain, the trouble. There is fact that laws are never respected nor enforced in India. A country like India, this type of laws are never respected, never give importance or enforced in India or put in practice in India. For instance, the Constitution says that casteism, untouchability and bonded labor shall be abolished, but they flourish shamelessly even after 44 years of the operation of the Constitution. Several such things the writer within bracket means out of his subject. He was talking about the environment and ecological balance and the earth as a enormous being like that. This is another topic. He attracts our attention towards the respect of law by the Indian citizens. As an example, as an instance, he says that the Constitution says that these things, casteism, untouchability and bonded labor, they are abolished, but still they are flourishing shamelessly in several parts of our country, even after the 40 years of India's independence, 40 years after the implementation of Constitution in India. A recent report of our Parliament's Estimates Committee has highlighted the near catastrophic depletion of India's forest over the last 4 decades. A recent report, then he says about a recent report by the Parliamentary Estimate Committee. That committee highlighted the near catastrophic depletion. Catastrophic depletion here means disastrous exhaustion. Disastrous exhaustion of India's forest over the last 4 decades. The depletion of the destruction of India's forest wealth, that is very catastrophic, very pathetic destruction of India's forest wealth during the last 4 decades, around 14 years. India, according to reliable data, is losing its forest at the rate of 3.7 million acres a year. In India, the committee estimated that around 3.7 million acres per year, the forest wealth is depleting in India. Large areas officially designated as forest land are already virtually treeless. Many parts of India and many areas are designated as forest land, but they are already virtually treeless. No tree can be traced in such designated places, even the designated places in India. That is the present condition of Indian forest. The actual loss of forest is estimated to be about 8 times the rate indicated by the government statistics. What the government gives us as the statistical data of forest depletion, in reality 8 times more than that data, we are losing our forest wealth. Come to the next page. A 3-year study using satellites and aerial photography conducted by the United Nations. So, using satellites and aerial study, United Nations UN conducted a study, and after the study it warns that the environment has deteriorated. Deteriorated means depleted, destroyed so badly that it is critical in many of the 88 countries investigated. They conducted this study using satellites and aerial photography around 88 countries, and most of these countries the forest and environment has deteriorated so badly, so they marked it as critical depletion of environment in 88 countries. The UN conducted a study using satellites and aerial photography. There can be no doubt that the growth of world population is one of the strongest factors distorting the future of human society. So one of the major reasons for this distorting future of human society is increasing world population. The growth of population in the country is one of the major reasons. It took mankind more than 1,000,000 years to reach the first billion. The first 100 crore. The first 100 crore or the first billion population reached after millions of years. That was the world population around the year 1800. In 1800, the world population was only 1 billion. By the year 1900, a second billion was added. Within 1 century, the population became 2 billion. And 20th century has added another 3.7 billion. When it comes the 20th century, the population grows to 5.3 billion. Every 4 days, the world population increases by 1 million. The present world population is estimated at 5.7 billion. So at present, we have 5.7 billion. Every 4 days, the world population increases by 1 million. So this article is written 25 years back. This article is written in 1994. So the present world population is 7.4 billion in 2021. Fertility falls as incomes rise, education spreads, and health improves. Then the writer says that fertility, productivity, the ability to produce the offspring, the ability to give birth to the younger ones, that falls naturally when incomes rise education spreads, and health improves. Thus, development is the best contraceptive. So, development is the best contraceptive. Contraceptive here means that control birth. So, the writer suggests that contraceptive is the best method. Development is the best method to control birth, control population. But development itself may not be possible if the present increase in numbers continue. But if it allow to grow like this, the present population, development alone can't do anything. The writer says further. Come to the next paragraph. The rich get richer and the poor beget children which condemn them to remain poor. So the rich people, they are getting richer and richer, but the poor, they beget children. Beget means they give birth to children, which condemns, that make them to remain poor. More children does not mean more workers, because the illiterate population think that more children means more workforce and more money. But more children does not mean more workers, merely more people without work. It really means more people without any work. It is not suggested that human beings be treated like cattle and compulsorily sterilized. So, a country like India, it is not suggested, it is not a good thing that humans are to be treated like a cattle, like animals, and compulsorily sterilized, forcefully sterilized them, forcefully stop their ability to give birth to their children. Sterilization, compulsory sterilization is not good. We can't treat humans as cattle. But there is no alternative to voluntary family planning. So the writer suggests that no other alternative is there than voluntary family planning. Voluntary means self-willingly, without the force of government or without the force of any religious forces, or without the force of any societal urge. Voluntarily we have to take family planning. Family planning means the ability to give birth that will be stopped. That is family planning, without introducing an element of coercion. So then we can say that without introducing an element of coercion. Coercion means compulsion or compelling somebody to do this. If people are self-willingly do this family planning, we can control the population. The choice is really between control of population and the perpetuation of poverty. So the choice before us is whether we have to control the population or we have to go along with this poverty. Perpetuation of poverty. Perpetuation means continuation. Continuation of poverty we have to follow, or we have to take on, or we have to control our population. Choice is ours. Come to the next paragraph. The population of India is estimated to be 920 million today, more than the entire population of Africa and South America put together. This is the estimation of 1994. 920 million. This is the estimation of 1994. At present, it is 1.34 billion is the Indian population. No one familiar with the conditions in India would doubt that the hope of the people would die in their hungry hutments unless population control is given topmost priority. So, no one familiar with the conditions in India would doubt. They need not doubt, come to know about the conditions of the present India and the growth of population, that the hope of people would die in their hungry hutments. Hungry hutments means the hungry homes without much to eat. In such homes, the dreams of the population would dry out unless population control is given topmost priority. So any government or any citizen of India should give utmost priority to population control. Like our central government puts forward several schemes like V2 ours 2, V1 ours 1. Like that, so many slogans they put forward for controlling population. If we don't give a priority for controlling population, many hutments of India and the population living in those hutments, their dreams would dry out without getting any fulfillment. Come to the next paragraph. For the first time in human history, we see a transcending concern. Transcending concern here means surpassing. A surpassing concern. The survival not just for the people but for the planet. For the first time in human history, we see a transcending concern, a surpassing concern in the population. The survival is not just for the people but for the planet itself. If the population continues like this, the resources should be utilized the most, and the existence of the earth itself become a big question mark. That we realized. We have begun to take a holistic view of the very basis of our existence. So we began to take a holistic view. Holistic means a complete, a whole, a complete view of the very basis of our existence. The writer further says, the environmental problem does not necessarily signal our demise. It is our passport for the future. So if we keep our environment suitable for every living being to live, that is the passport for our future, which means it is a written certificate. It is a valid passport for our journey to the future. Otherwise, it will cause our demise, our death. The emerging new world vision has ushered in the era of responsibility. So this emerging new world vision has ushered means led or accompanied in the era of responsibility. So the emerging new world vision has ushered in the era of responsibility, that has led to the era of responsibility. It is a holistic view, an ecological view, seeing the world as an integrated whole rather than a dissociated collection of parts. So this perception has changed our responsibility. Now we started looking the entire earth as as in a holistic way, an ecological view, and seeing the world as an integrated whole. It is one, not disintegrated parts like different continents or different countries or different villages, not like that. It is an integrated whole, an aggregate one, the entire earth. Industry has a most crucial role to play in this new era of responsibility. Industry can also play a crucial role in this era of responsibility. What a transformation would be effected if more businessmen shared the view of the chairman of DuPont, Mr. Edgar S. Woolard, who 5 years ago declared himself to be the company's chief environmental officer. So industry can also play a major role to protect our environment, like the CEO of that DuPont company, Mr. Edgar S. Woolard, who declared himself as the chief environmental officer. He said, "Our continued existence as a leading manufacturer requires that we excel in environmental performance." This recognition by the industry that is also essential for the existence of a good environment ecology for the entire beings on earth. Come to the last paragraph. Of all these statements made by Margaret Thatcher during the years of her prime ministership, none has passed so decisively into the current coin of English usage as her felicitous words. This is about the British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. She had made several quotes, and no other quotes get this much current coin of English usage as the felicitous words. No generation has a free hold on this earth. All we have is a life tenancy with a full repairing lease. These words of Margaret Thatcher has got the maximum current coin in English language, the maximum used phrases in the current English scenario. The writer says, no generation has freehold on this earth. We don't have any freedom to enjoy the resources. All we have is a life tenancy. We are the people who live in this earth as renters. We take the earth by rent, and the agreement is with a full repairing lease. The lease agreement is with full repairment. Whatever damage that we do to the earth, it is our own responsibility to rectify it, to repair it. So we are not the owners, we are the stewards, we are the servants, we are the tenants of this earth. This is what Margaret Thatcher says. In the words of Mr. Lester Brown, we have not inherited this earth from our forefathers, we have borrowed it from our children. Another, Mr. Lester Brown, his famous book that we have referred already, that for biological systems, that Mr. Lester Brown said, we have not inherited this earth from our forefathers. We don't inherited this earth from our forefathers. Actually, we have borrowed it. We have borrowed it from our children, our future generation. We are responsible to our coming generation. We have to hand over this without making any damage to the coming generation. This is what Esther Brown says. Global economic prospects. He says about this in his book Global Economic Prospects. We have not inherited this earth from our forefathers, we have borrowed it from our children. So this is a reminder for each one of us. If we are forced to cut a tree from this earth, it is our responsibility to plant 3 there. At least one out of that 3 will become a big tree that we have already destroyed. It is our responsibility, because we are not the owners of this earth, we are only the tenants, and we come and live on this earth with an agreement of repairing it completely, whatever damage that we do with it. That's all from the explanation part. For more such lessons, subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. Thank you.